Hey guys, welcome back. I just wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about you know, this thing with the flood here in Nashville back in like it was first of May. Oh, let me put my belt on here. The 1st of May there was some pretty heavy floods, and I used to have all these statistics memorized, but I think it was like 18 inches of rain in about a 2-day period, which is an incredible amount of rain. It was, they call it the 1,000-year flood, which means that that kind of water and that kind of flooding, you know, is so rare that it happens maybe every 1,000 years. So it was quite an amazing thing, and you may have seen it in the news with the Opryland Hotel and Opry Mills, all these tourist areas, and the whole downtown area was just totally flooded. And thousands of families lost their homes. I mean, literally lost their homes because the water was so bad. And the terrible part about it is most of this happened in areas that people weren't expecting. You know, it wasn't a flood area or and that kind of thing. So anyway, it was pretty bad. And I was actually, my wife and I were out of town, Megan and I were out of town, and I didn't really, I mean, I knew it happened, but it didn't really hit home. And one day I was driving down a road a couple weeks after the flood and saw some work crews like cleaning out, demolition, cleaning out these house after house after house. And literally everything that these families owned was sitting out on their curb waiting for the trash man to come and pick it up. I mean, furniture, carpeting, drywall, the insulation. I mean, you can imagine the cost of this damage. Air conditioning units, you know, that's $6,000 just gone like that. You know, all the insulation in your walls and the drywall, the flooring and your subflooring. So basically, it's just stripped down to the frame. And anyway, tons of people were in this kind of a situation, and the government helped with FEMA, but there was some limits to that money that would come out. And in most cases, in a lot of cases, the money that they would give was insufficient for completely renovating a house. And the insurance companies, blah blah blah, saw these house after house damaged, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't even believe this. And then that day I came home and woke up from a nap, and I felt so clear that the Lord said, why don't you raise money? Why don't you raise money to help these people rebuild their homes? And I thought, well, that's pretty ridiculous. That's a lot of money, because, you know, FEMA was giving $30,000 or something like that a home, and I was like, that's a lot of money to raise. So I prayed and prayed and prayed to see if this was something that the Lord was doing, if this was just an idea that came in my head, that kind of deal. And as I prayed, it was more and more affirmed and confirmed that this is what the Lord had wanted me to pursue. And so we did. We just said, okay, we're going to do it. And I asked the Lord, what was the first step to do? And I felt like He said to find a family. So my wife and I Megan and I would drive around all these areas. And one of the there's a lot of houses in Nashville and Franklin and some other communities that have gotten a lot of news coverage and a lot of you know, just news coverage. And I had a heart for the people that were overlooked down in the rural areas of Tennessee, outside of Nashville and outside of these bigger communities. You know, where there was more rural, there's lots of streams and creeks that overfilled or you know, flooded houses. And so I felt like wanting to reach out to them. So we would drive around these areas, and to areas like this, you know, where there's these creeks and that overfilled, and looking at houses and individuals who needed some help. And we couldn't find anybody. Nobody wanted help, or nobody was there because they couldn't live there. And so anyway, I got lost. We got lost one day as we were looking. And I pulled in this lady's driveway and asked her if she could help me get back to Highway 7. And so she tells me how, and then I just said, you know, we're out here looking for people that we can help with the flooding. Do you know any homes or anybody that we could help? And she kind of just said, well, no, not really, but here's the number of a guy I know who's pretty involved. So anyway, we contacted this guy, and to make this really long story shorter, is that he knew several families that were in terrible situations where they were actually still living in their tents. And this was at that time, it was probably a month or more after the flood. So a creek like this overfills its banks and floods these houses, and these people were staying in tents because they didn't want to lose the little bit that they had left. And so anyway, I talked to him, and I just said, hey, sir, if I was able to raise money, could you set me up? Can you connect me with some families that are going to need their homes rebuild? Kind of a long-term strategy to help these people literally build their entire homes. So that's kind of how he said, yes, absolutely I could. And so to me, I walked downstairs, I said, Megan, we found our families. We found them. And so it kind of was the green light for us to pursue this. And so here we are. We're asking God we're just believing that we're going to be able to rebuild these homes for these people. And it's more than just rebuilding a home, you know. We're just so excited to see these families through from the very beginning. We're gonna come and just love on them and provide in practical ways, and then we're gonna rebuild their home. And through that whole process, we've got a crew of people who love the Lord and want to bless these people as well. We're gonna come in and help them. Can you imagine an entire house being rebuilt? Oh, it's just going to be so beautiful. And so we want to see this process all the way from the beginning to the end, where we just come and express the love of Christ to these people in practical ways. You know, providing a glass of water is a way of expanding the kingdom with the motive of love. And this is the exact same thing. It's not on a greater scale just because it's the renovation of a house. It's not more powerful. It's just a need that needs to be met, and so we can do it. This is what we feel like the beginning of building bridges. This is our first official mission, and so we just invite you to join us. Follow us on this website. We're going to post videos and you know, update the scenario, let you know what's going on in these people's lives, and we just encourage you to get involved, and if you can, you know, financially support us. We're gonna need to raise money for these folks, and we're gonna need to do it in a hurry. So these people are left without houses, and so we just want to be able to respond like the church should respond. You know, it's great that our government does, but it's really our responsibility as the church to respond in these situations. And I guess as the end draws nearer, we need to be more and more prepared to respond. So I just invite you to join us. I just invite you to join us in this, and just get involved in any way you can. Bless you guys. Love you. Thanks.